What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Monolith Productions will be going to E3, and if they are, will they announce a new game there? And for once, actually, we have at least confirmation from them themselves on if they are or not going. Now, the question is, do you believe them? And we'll talk about that as this video goes on. But before I get too far in, if you guys do like this stuff, I've been covering E3 quite a bit over the last several weeks, and I will be, going into E3, we'll be doing so much coverage on the show and all. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on, and make sure also, if you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, Podcast Now Plus, I do a daily video over there, and when it comes to E3, we'll definitely be putting a lot of videos over there as well. Links in the description below, or obviously you can just look it up over on YouTube. Okay, what's funny is actually one of my followers. Now, I'm not going to claim ownership of this individual, but no, honestly, Mr. Happa, hopefully I'm saying that right, but he's a great guy, and he was one of those bold, brave individuals that I always respect a lot of on Twitter, where they just take it right to the front line. They say, well, let's just ask them. Sometimes you'll see people who ask Dying Light something, or they ask Dead Island, or you've seen these things where they just say, you know what, I'm just going to go straight to the source, ask them, and maybe we get an answer, maybe we don't. The question is, again, do we believe the answer? So he asked Monolith, he literally went to their Twitter and he asked, are you going to E3? And they said no. They said they appreciate the question, but they are not going to E3. So again, thank you to him for being a bold individual and doing that. And the question now becomes, do we believe them? Well, flat out honest, I pray they're lying. Now, what's tough is they actually don't have a history of lying. I believe last year they were asked multiple times if they were going to specific events, and they said no every time, even times that they themselves made it seem like they were going. Because remember, there was a stretch of time that people believed that Monolith could have been making a Superman game. In fact, if you go on their job postings for whatever their next game is, you could, I guess, twist it in a way where it sounds like it could be a superhero game, okay, or like a DC game. I still think it's the third Middle-earth game, okay, and you could also make, like, if you read the job postings, it sounds like it, but you could also twist it to make yourself believe that they're talking about a DC game, all right? So last year, that was kind of going around. They even tweeted about DC fandom, got me really excited, got a lot of other people excited, but people asked them, point blank, are you going? And they said, no, we didn't mean the tweet that way, we just meant it as, like, we're excited for others going to DC fandom, okay? So it is tough because publishers, developers, all of them, they lie all the time. And I always say that, and I think it should be obvious at some point, but I know a lot of people just aren't clued in as well, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's just important to tell people that just because you're told that this isn't happening, or we're not making this game, or this feature isn't in the game, that does not mean whatsoever that it's true, okay? There are some things I guess you can make assumptions on, but for the most part, they hide things not in a malicious way, but in a way just to keep their secrets. Imagine, I remember one of the biggest ones to stand out is Naughty Dog said, flat out, leading into The Last of Us, the first game, that you will not play as Ellie. That was a flat-out lie. You do play as Ellie. But why would you tell us that, right? Because that was a huge, because if you say you're playing as Ellie, well, the question is, well, what happens to Joel? Because you've promoted the game, you're playing as this guy, and all of a sudden you tell us, oh yeah, you'll play as the girl too. Well, why? Why would you do that? So that's one that comes to mind, but it happens, I would argue it happens almost daily at some point, right? Where there's just a lot of things that are, kept hidden on purpose. And so in order to do that, sometimes you have to lie. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, and again, to me, do I believe they're lying? I actually would say, following my gut and my heart, I actually do believe them, only because they've been proven that they haven't lied in the past. But yet again, you'd have to break that I don't know, your history. You'd have to break that at some point, right? Because you're eventually going to announce your new game, and at some point leading into that announcement, you're going to lie about it. There's no way around that. You know what I mean? So, at some point, your track record is going to be broken. Is it now? That goes more to the mental blockage that I have, where it's I can't actually believe that they wouldn't show up. We've said it before in terms of Warner Bros. And Warner Bros. Games. Okay, so they're going to E3. Well, they could do a lot at E3. They could do very little. They could do a little bit of everything, right? They could do DC stuff. You have Hogwarts Legacy. You have Lego Star Wars. You have Back 4 Blood you're publishing. All this stuff. You have new games that we maybe don't even know about. You have a lot you could do. it's been a long time since the last Middle-earth game. It's been almost 3 years at this point. And you know, between 1 and 2, I believe that was only 3 years. I'm pretty sure it took them 3 years in between Shadow of Mordor to Shadow of War. So, I mean, things happen, and, you know, if your game kind of balloons in terms of size, maybe that adds an extra year or so. So I'm not saying, like, it's shocking that the game's not releasing this fall, because if it releases next fall, like, that's, you know, that's fine. I guess the question is, when would you announce it to when it releases? I feel like it would be very easy, and I'm sure you have enough stuff to talk about / show that you could announce it right now, even if it's coming out fall of 2022. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think people would understand that. You know what I mean? So it's just something that I can't believe yes, it's not something, I don't want to say I can't believe it's not releasing this year, right? Because that's not really truthful. My mindset is more like I can't believe we haven't seen it yet, considering how long it's been since the last game. And the longer you wait, I don't know, to me, I guess the more negative or pessimistic side of me would say, like, maybe there's a problem with the game. And you know, it doesn't have to mean that, but there's been numerous examples sometimes of games that go dark for a while, and then you end up hearing through the grapevine that, oh yeah, it was rebooted, or something really, or a lead of the team left, stuff like that. Doesn't happen every time, doesn't even happen most times, but it does absolutely happen, and those things have, you know, ramifications. So, you know, to me, it's a 50-50 thing. Yes, they technically confirmed that they're not going, but do you believe that? Do you actually buy that? I would say I probably lean more towards yes, but it's not a for sure thing. Like, if they're at E3, I'd be like, ha. I would go so far as to say, like, ha, told you. Like, you know, they lie. They lie all the time. So I want that to be true. I also just want, you know, an announcement of their next game. Here's the other thing, though. Final thing I'll say. They don't need to show it. Like, I love the first two Middle-earth games, okay? I really did. I can't wait for the third one, if that's what it is. I think they're a very talented developer. Obviously, they made the Nemesis system, all that stuff. They're very, very good. At the same time, if you're looking at Warner Bros. At large, though, you don't need to announce it if it's not really soon. And maybe that's how they're doing it, right? You have Gotham Knight, and literally all the games I've announced, or I've said. You have Back 4 Blood, Lego Star Wars. Those are 2 games that, you know, would probably release this year. Next year, you have at least Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy, if not also Suicide Squad. So you have 5 games in 2 years. Huge. We're not talking about indie games. Huge games. And you also have NetherRealm, who could very well be announcing their new game as well. And it makes more sense in terms of timelines that they would go, because it's been very much long enough since Mortal Kombat, especially for how long they normally take. So you look at all that and you say, well, you know, if this game isn't planning to release until next fall, maybe even a year after that, we don't really need to talk about it, because we have enough stuff to pad the next 2 years easily in all sorts of other, you know, all different kinds of games. So I would get both ways. I would say I want it to happen. I'm not expecting it, you know, especially because they gave an answer. Again, it's just whether or not you believe that. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think they'll be there? Do you think it's a third Middle-earth game? Do you think it's something brand new? Let me know. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon. Make sure you guys subscribe to my second channel, because I've covered E3 quite a bit the last 3-4 weeks, and we are just starting. Truly, truly just starting. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.